Things just took a brutal turn for the Boston Celtics. As we know, with Kristaps Porziņģis, he has been dealing with an illness, and from Joe Mazzulla, we heard some updates following post-game on some severe stuff. Plus, we have multiple injury updates revolving around the other superstar in Jayson Tatum, as we had an article come out talking to a Achilles tendon specialist that gives Celtics a little bit of more details and understanding of how Jayson Tatum is going to be able to recover from this injury. We're going to be diving into all of that and exploring all of the news revolving around the Boston Celtics and their injury updates ahead of Game 6. On this episode of Celtics Digest, I'm Bruce Veliz with my co-host Patrick Billings. And Patrick, a little bit of injury talk today, some downside, but some bright side as well.
Yeah, I think this is the perfect time to kind of talk about some things after all the energy that we let out yesterday after yesterday's win. I mean, if you guys missed that video, go ahead and check that out. I mean, we were absolutely fired up, and we will keep that same energy throughout. Trust us on that one. But today there's a lot of information to go over with Porzingis. We've seen a lot of issues with him and some really good updates with Jayson Tatum with that Achilles injury, so you're going to want to stick around for this.
100% Patrick, and I'm excited to get into all of it. Let's dive into it. Make sure to grab that snack, ladies and gentlemen. And first, we're going to describe some talk about Kristaps Porziņģis, because it's not been great for Porzingis in the playoffs this season for the Celtics, right? He's been struggling versus the Orlando Magic. He's been struggling versus the New York Knicks, and he hasn't really been able to come up to his true form. And for the Celtics fans that want to see Porzingis at his best ability, specifically with Jayson Tatum now dealing with his Achilles injury, we're going to see him have to perform to his best. And in yesterday's performance, that was not the case. We saw Luke Kornet, who was absolutely fantastic for the Celtics, saving them that game, really step up and deliver for Porzingis, and Porzingis did not play much in the second half. So Joe Mazzulla had to say on his decision to bench Kristaps Porziņģis, saying that he couldn't breathe. This was courtesy of Jay King. We also saw, obviously, that head coach Joe Mazzulla reveals that Porzingis had difficulty breathing due to an ongoing illness that he's been suffering. He's only been able to play 12 minutes in Game 5. And Patrick, Porzingis has not had the greatest playoff stats this year. 8.1 points, 4.6 rebounds, 0.8 blocks, shooting 43% from the field, and a 12.53% shooting. This is not great for the Celtics. This is not great for Kristaps Porziņģis, and we all want him to get to his back healthiest, but unfortunately for the Celtics, that might not be the case for them in this series.
Yeah, I like this little bottom part here by Evan talking about how the Celtics are likely to change their roster in a significant manner in the offseason, of course. And with how things have been with Porzingis, let alone the injuries and now this long-lasting illness that nobody has a single idea what this illness is other than he cannot breathe and he's having trouble getting onto the court. You don't really want to deal with this going into next season because who knows how long this is going to go if you don't know what it is. So I think that looking forward, this is a move that the Celtics could definitely look at being the first move. But now that we're still here in the playoffs, I think that's the biggest worry, and that's about getting him on the court. And how he looked, too, in these playoff games. He has just not been producing on the offensive end, maybe a little bit more on the defensive end. But, I mean, we thought that with the start, he would have felt a lot better. But then we see him in the second half just sitting on the bench the whole time. But thank God for Luke Kornet to step up, that they really didn't need to force him to come in because he was only going to play if absolutely necessary. So we didn't see him because it was definitely not necessary. And hopefully he gets better, man. And they could definitely use him on the offensive end, just a little bit more of a weapon when it comes to the mid-range and kind of just getting those off-ball kind of screen and rolls, kind of hit some threes because he's not shooting well from the three-point line either, Bruce. I believe he's shooting 10%, maybe if that, from the three-point line in this series, so he's not shooting well.
Yeah, it just has not been great for the playoffs for Porzingis, unfortunately. Like you mentioned, just dealing with that illness, something the Celtics don't really have an understanding of, and maybe they do, and they're just keeping it a little bit hush-hush for the fans here, maybe to not hinder that trade value that we were earlier discussing surrounding Porzingis, because he may be that first domino to fall, especially with his production not really being here with the Celtics and with him being on a one-year contract. But the good news surrounding around Porzingis, Patrick, is that he is off the injury report going into tomorrow's contest, correct? So the Boston Celtics have no one on the injury report besides Jayson Tatum, who's obviously going to be out for an extended period of time with no timetable of his return. But having Sam Hauser, having Kristaps Porziņģis back, I think is going to be key for the Boston Celtics and really getting something back and trying to win this Game 6 in New York. And speaking of Jayson Tatum, Patrick, that's going to lead us to the next part because we have another injury update revolving around our superstar. And we're going to take a look into Jayson Tatum's injury. And there's been a lot of discussions, a lot of talks about this injury here, but we do have an update update from Noah Dalzell, courtesy of Celtics blog, where she spoke to an expert who shared very encouraging insight about Jayson Tatum's injury. If we want to dive into this, obviously, she spoke with Dr. Lou Soslowski, the founding director of Penn Achilles Tendinopathy Center of Research and Translation, an NIH-founded center created to specifically research Achilles tendon injuries and develop new treatments. And also, in addition to that, Soslowski has also had firsthand experience with this injury, as he's also tear his own Achilles tendon playing volleyball and returned to play just 7 months later. Personally, I think, Patrick, this is one of the top tier experts to ask and answer, and I think this is going to be something really great for the Celtics fans to figure out about.
Yeah, I think the biggest part about this is the doctor himself tearing his Achilles and kind of knowing what that whole process is like. Just like kind of we saw in football, guys, with Aaron Rodgers and J.K. Dobbins kind of working out together, trying to get their ways back together. I think it's kind of like that thing. You know what you're going through, you go through it together, and this guy has already gone through it, especially doing Kevin Durant's and a couple other people's, surgeries as well with other different types of things. I think that this is a big plus, and just the fact that this is the doctor getting it done and giving out all this information with the Celtics being so hush-hush. Finally, we get some information, and it's some very valuable information.
I would agree. Martin O'Malley was the doctor who performed the surgery on Jayson Tatum in New York. Like you mentioned, he did then Kevin Durant's ruptured Achilles and also had worked on Derrick White's leg injury, like we had mentioned in the live stream or the previous video. But when diving in and exploring this article from Noah, we can get a lot of good stuff out of this, right? The number one thing that Dr. Slowski finds most encouraging about Tatum's situation is that he was able to get operated on it so quickly. This is really atypical, he says. Even for a professional athlete or a high-profile individual, this is atypical. So this is really wonderful. And you might expect all NBA players to have endless resources at their disposal to get this Achilles rupture tear on a 12-hour turnaround, but that's not typically the case, right? Damian Lillard had to wait 5 days. DeMarcus Cousins waited 4 days. Wesley Matthews waited a little around 6 days. Rudy Gay also had to wait 5 days. Kevin Durant also had to wait. So this is something that is not really common, and due to the fact that they don't really have their home surgeon usually with them, right? 55% of the time they're not in their home city, and then their choice of surgeon you're going to have to perform that operation is a conversation between the athlete, agent, maybe the team, ownership, more colleagues, friends, or athletes. But Tatum was lucky that Mr. O'Malley was there, and he was able to do this surgery right away, almost miraculously, just so that Tatum happened to be in New York City, like we had just mentioned. And there's not a lot of data on recovery from the injury of an Achilles tear from a 27-year-old just after a 12-hour post-tear, right? Because this hasn't happened before.
Yeah. I mean, this is just like an unbelievable situation. I talked about this with you, whether it's on camera or off camera. I talked to many people. I said, I have never seen somebody have an injury like this and get surgery so quick. I mean, even seeing in this article, just 12 hours, that was even quicker than I thought. I thought it was about, like close to 24 hours, 12 hours. They had that conversation as soon as they got in the hospital. And I mean, the luck of the draw to have him already there and be available with, I'm sure, how busy all these surgeons are. All of a sudden, he just has this one opening, and it's Jayson Tatum, and it's to fix his Achilles. I mean, this is an incredible situation for the Boston Celtics and Jayson Tatum. And like I said, like all this information that this doctor has performing these surgeries, having it himself, and like all these different things that are surrounding it, it's just like an awesome thing to see, especially with, how down bad we all are with this injury. I mean, it's still dead to me. It's unbelievable. I still don't believe it. I think he's going to play tomorrow still. But, I mean, 7 months, you hear that, you get a little excited. But, there's a bunch of things that go through it, like the mental aspect of it.
100%, and we got to kind of get over that mental obstacle as well. But it is good to hear some decent news around Jayson Tatum revolving this. But obviously, Dr. Solowski doesn't think that the Celtics will rush Tatum as well, because this injury could take anywhere between 7 months to a year, to potentially even a year and a half. And it's nearly impossible to determine which one of those scenarios is most realistic. At some point, the Celtics will evaluate Tatum in the next coming months to really figure out how he will be able to rehab. But even if there's a 12-month rehab, obviously, there's still going to be some time that he's going to have to recover, correct, to get back up to the speed of basketball and be able to develop some stuff. Mark Spears reported yesterday that he talked to Justin Tatum, Tatum's father, and he said he expects his son to be back in 8 to 9 months, which we talked about obviously would be around January or February. The Celtics have had no official timetable revealed, so we don't know what that is. But even if he were to come back by January, February. He might have to wait a couple months, even to March, April. And that's why the doctor says that a likely return next season might not be the case for Tatum. But even after Tatum's Achilles is fully recovered, like I mentioned, he'll have to go up the substantial ramp-up period. But there is some good news for the Boston Celtics, right? We got some understanding about Jayson Tatum's injury. I think a lot of people mainly were concerned that he got operated on right away compared to other people. So finding out the details that it was actually better that he got it operated on that, and there was, no mishap after the Achilles injury or the Achilles surgery as well, which we reported yesterday from Adam Himmelsbach, I think is also very key for Jayson Tatum and for the Celtics team, because once again, I think when this injury happened, a lot of people thought, oh damn, not just this year, what's next year, the year after that, thinking of all the worst possibilities. But clearly, the Celtics team proved they can still win these games. They could still be dominant without Jayson Tatum. And in a season, if they are without him for the full season or 85% of the season, they can still be a talented team in this Eastern Conference as well.
Hand up accountability. I was one of those people thinking about that. So, I mean, just when you hear your superstar get hurt and it's an Achilles, you think about all the worst things possible in the world. But I mean, like we said, 7 months fully recovered, that January, February period. But then or is that 9 months, Bruce? That's 9 months. Yeah. So, I mean, you got to think of how the team's going to look first before you rush him back anyways. But if they're in like the mix, looking at like a 4 or 5 seed around that January, February, and he's kind of ramping up a little bit and he's close to 100% and they're still fighting for the playoffs there, I mean, maybe you see him come back in March, get that 1 month ramp up before playoffs. And then who knows what this team's going to look like, man. I think that is like a very possible situation, but it really just depends on what the team looks like from the offseason to the beginning of next season. I think that's just a telling tale on if we will see him play next year or not.
I completely agree, and that's going to be a big discussion around the Celtics team as well. Hopefully, for you and for we don't get to see that end tomorrow. We get to see that continue on after Friday with the Celtics going into New York tomorrow. Joe Mazzulla said he wants to get this game wrapped up. He wants to take care of it like he did in Game 5, and I feel confident in the Celtics team to do so. I know you agree with that, Patrick.
I'm still pumped up. I'm actually fired up again. I mean, we're so back, Bruce. Like this Celtics team showed me a lot yesterday. They showed a lot of grit. They know what they got to play for. And I mean, man, like I said last night in that video, if they play like that one more time, the Knicks got something coming. They don't want to come back to Boston. No one wants to make a trip for no reason.
Exactly. You are not wrong in that. So, guys, once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, getting the updates on Kristaps Porziņģis. Not the greatest update, but a little bit of a better update revolving around Jayson Tatum as well. Once again, you guys have been fantastic, showing your love for Patrick and I in the comment section, in these videos, hitting that like and subscribe button recently. We've been jumping and soaring, so we do appreciate all the love that you guys have been giving us. So let us know your thoughts down below, how you feel about this Celtics team, how you feel about these injuries. Are you excited to see Luke Kornet step up tomorrow? I know Patrick and I are. We'll be here to break down all of that for you guys as well. So make sure to stay tuned and stay up to date on your Boston Celtics news here at Celtics Digest. But we'll be peacing out and catching you guys in the next video. So have a great rest of your day and go Boston Celtics. Peace out, everyone.